Being inauthentic is extremely energetically taxing, meaning that it keeps you in a state of just low vibration, low energy, exhaustion, depression, fear, anxiety, tension, contraction. And when you're able to actually be authentic, it's this opening force, this enlivening force, something that actually brings you more peace and well-being in your life. And I want you to think back to a time when you were inauthentic and just how kind of uncomfortable it actually was, how painful it was. There was a part of you that you actually had to repress. You had to restrict it. And I want you to recognize that you actually have to be putting energy into restricting yourself. It's like you're using your own energy to restrict your energy. There's an internal conflict going on, and this is exhausting, it's painful, it's unnecessary. I want you to recognize that key part. Unnecessary. It doesn't have to be happening. It's something that we're doing unconsciously. It's something that you're doing unconsciously. It's something that you don't even recognize is going on, but yet it's influencing some massive aspects of your life, like your connections to people, your career, your well-being, how you feel on a moment-to-moment basis, what you think of the world, the information that you consume. This is massive stuff for your life that's actually being affected by things that you don't even recognize exist. So the cost of authenticity is often just a lot of emotional burnout, stress, exhaustion, fear, anxiety, like I mentioned. And your whole life just begins to feel like it's someone else's life. Your relationships don't fit you. Your career doesn't fit you. You don't even eat foods that are healthy for you. Your moment-to-moment experience feels numb and dull and like void of any sort of love or joy for creation, love or joy for existence, for being alive, for being able to be present, for having a body, for the simplicity of having a body, of just being a human. Your moment-to-moment experience becomes hell. It seems dull, mechanical, rigid, fixed, static, numb, like it's just not a life that ends up really satisfying you or being fulfilling. And authenticity is a path to fulfillment. This is where true alignment actually comes in. Living authentically aligns you with your core values, creating a sense of inner peace and purpose. It aligns you with your energy levels, with what you really desire in the moment that's going to give you energy and make you feel healthy or peaceful or excited or creative or curious. It's something that brings you back into connection with your intrinsic motivation and the forms of motivation that actually come organically from you, like purpose, autonomy, right? A sense of freedom, a sense of mastery, a sense of curiosity, right? Did I say what was the first one I said? I don't remember. Just something that brings you joy and well-being just from you doing the thing. I want you to actually think about that, right? What are some things in your life that when you do them, they just simply make you feel happy, joyful, connected to yourself? Maybe it's painting or exercising or meditating or reading, connecting with people you love, doing some kind of work that you really enjoy doing. For me personally, I love meditating, I love reading, I love exercising, I love eating very healthy. I love connecting with my girlfriend. I love doing YouTube videos. I love connecting with my clients. I love self-actualization, self-transcendence. I love meditation retreats and more. Love spending time in nature and more. So actually create a comprehensive list of like, what are the core things that are like very genuinely authentic to me? And authenticity is more than just these sort of core things that I can do in this very sort of abstract sense, but it's also who you're being on a moment-to-moment basis. Do you act in alignment with your values? Do you act out of integrity with yourself? When you're low energy, do you try and like pretend like you're high energy? For example, like do you respond accordingly to your genuine state? If you're sad, can you even express sadness to yourself? Can you be open and transparent in relation to other people? Are you able to be vulnerable? Are you able to just let down your guard and not always have to protect yourself against people, your environment, yourself even? So it's who you're being on a moment-to-moment basis as well, how you're actually expressing yourself in the world. And is it in alignment with you, your state, your personality, your values, your interests? All this stuff is taken into account, this bigger picture stuff where we're not missing any of these sort of core elements. So fear of authenticity essentially leads to a life that is, like I said, very unfulfilling. So many people avoid authenticity due to the fear of rejection, but hiding your true self often leads to greater dissatisfaction. You'll have to kind of like determine what's of more value to me. Avoiding this momentary pain of like rejection and judgment, which if you're actually honest, a lot of times you don't even care about it. Like you don't actually truly care about it. It's just your sort of evolutionary design is designed to like very deeply value it in order to survive. Your survival condition, it craves it. Please accept me. Please, for the love of God, accept me. Don't reject me. Don't kick me out of the tribe. I'm scared. Oh my God. But your actual self, when you're grounded, safe, secure, stable, your actual self doesn't really begin to care when you're deeply connected to yourself. When you build that unshakable ground within yourself. When you're relating from that place, it doesn't care. You can reject me, it's fine. It doesn't actually threaten my survival. And we're not living in tribes anymore like we did many years ago. If I get rejected, I'm not going to get kicked out of my tribe and thrown into the wilderness, which means death. I'm just here. Still, reject me, cool. So determine what's of more value to you, that momentary rejection or this pattern of always being exhausted, contracted, tense, afraid, fearful, burning your energy to restrict your authentic expression. Like I said, burning your own energy to restrict yourself. This is suffering 101 right here. This is creating your own suffering 101. Conscious or unconsciously doing something that leads to your own suffering. You're doing it, you don't even know that you're doing it, and it's exhausting and painful. And it's out of alignment with what's true. So the consequences of your authenticity are pretty big. Your authenticity slowly starts to design your life in a way that actually genuinely fits you. Your relationships, you start to attract people and opportunities for your career that actually fit with you. You start to do the things you love, and you start to shape your life off in that direction that actually, in that direction that actually means something to you. Of course, in culture, we're taught to conform, and I don't have to go too deeply into that, but we're not really taught how to harness our actual authentic expression. Discover that it takes a lot of awareness. We're talking like years of work. Like a lot of you guys don't want to hear this. Decades, multiple decades. Starts to get very good after around 3 to 5 years of like deep work. Most of you get like practical everyday work, meditating, right? Really investigating your own psyche, questioning, really trying to discover what is true, just openly what is true. Just removing the biases from your mind and just what is true, what's going to raise my consciousness, what is healthy. Right? This is like a long-term process. So your authenticity can inspire others and creates ripple effects. When you're able to be authentic, it actually ripples to other people. Other people can feel safe and open up. It's extremely magnetic. It also repels people who don't resonate with you, but the people who do resonate with you, it's very, very magnetic. People can drop their guards because your guard is dropped. You're able to just be open and vulnerable and share freely. Not overshare, and you're not silly to the point where you share with, let's say, some criminal narcissist who's going to exploit you, right? That's why I recommend learning some psychology so you know how to actually navigate people very well in the world. But you share without this fear of always being rejected or having to always conform. And the truth of the matter is that humans are highly conformist. The lower levels of your psychological development that you have in your psyche are highly based on conformity. This is like the foundation of your life. This is like the very foundation of your psyche is just conformity. A lot of people really don't like to hear that, but this is a massive aspect of human life. It's just conforming to rules, traditions, norms, customs, things we've been programmed with, and we start acting them out in order to be accepted by the tribe, by the group, for safety. This is like a very foundational survival component. And this very thing can be good, it can be bad, depends on what we're being conditioned by. But in the modern world, right, a lot of things are sickening, delusional, false, closed-minded, dogmatic, restrictive. They're not self-actualized or self-transcended. So it ends up being not very healthy for us to remain stuck in a lot of this stuff. Maybe in a few hundred years, maybe that'll change. But for now, it's going to limit your development very severely and limit the quality of your life. So there's a deep sense of liberation when you're actually able to be authentic. Authenticity frees you from the exhausting need to perform or seek approval. Owning your truth helps you to take control of your life instead of being controlled by external forces. It helps you, I want to reframe that, not from control, but it helps you to align your life in a very natural and organic way. It's like it just kind of starts to unfold. That shift in your energy and your consciousness starts to actually just change things in your life. You make different decisions. You feel different. You feel more connected to yourself. You can connect to other people deeply. All the elements of your life, they start to fall into place because you're allowing them to, rather than always being inauthentic and you're pushing all your stuff away. The opportunities you really want to, what you really feel, think, want to say, your actual values, what you really want to be doing, the people you resonate with, instead of like pushing all this away by who you're being continuously, it starts to just kind of align, almost like magic. It's like the more you let go, the more it kind of just begins to, in a sense, like solve itself. Not in the sense that, you don't have to put any effort into it at all. Like you don't have to ever do anything, but the more you just kind of learn to let go and open up to life, right? This doesn't mean that you're just like passive forever. This means more so that you're just not always trying to control out of fear. You're able to just kind of ease up, surrender, and just open up to life. Maybe in one moment that means being passive. Maybe in the next that means being assertive. Maybe in one moment it means giving. Maybe in the next moment it means receiving. It's this constant adapting to life's circumstances. Being able to move flexibly through life. It all starts to just kind of align when you can open up and sort of navigate life in this sort of flexible, open way. So suffering ends up being a massive wake-up call for many. Don't wait for that moment. This is the biggest wake-up call for most people. This is that turning point, that feeling of I can't continue on this trajectory because it's so painful. Don't wait for that. So living out of alignment often leads to a lot of crises, breakdowns, burnouts, feelings of emptiness in life. A feeling of just like, why do I even live? Like it's pointless, and it's just, it leads to all these sort of like unnecessarily negative worldviews that just are so delusional and like cut off from the beauty of being and existence. And they're just sickening. And they're no good. They're no good. So using suffering as a signal to reevaluate your life and start showing up as your authentic self is something you'll have to notice. When you're actually being inauthentic, there's going to be a lot of suffering that comes along with that. A lot of internal struggle. It's a consequence of being inauthentic. Here's a quick call to action. Just reflect on where you're not being authentic and challenge yourself to kind of take one small step towards being more authentic, just one tiny one, and recognize that you're safe. So where are you not being fully authentic in your relationship, in your career, and just take that tiny step to just be a bit more authentic, right? Maybe going after the thing that you need or saying the thing that you sense needs to be said. Trust in your gut, trust in your heart, getting in touch with your body. Trusting an intuitive insight that arises. Right? Being more integrated and harmonious inside yourself. Where can you just be a bit more authentic? What are some things you can do to actually foster that authenticity and make it a norm for your life? Rewire your mind so that it's like the norm. It's just who you're being automatically. Rather than always it always having to be the struggle. How can you build up that intuition of like what is authentic and what is inauthentic? I have a previous video on it. You can check that out. But I want you to recognize that authenticity can actually be hard when you have that block to being authentic and you're always afraid, but it's worth it. You're safe. That's something I want you to recognize, that you're safe. You can be afraid. You think something bad's going to happen. You have that belief of, if I'm authentic, something bad will happen. My life will be in danger. I'll be rejected, something like that. But you're safe. Really recognize that you're totally okay to just take up the space in the world that you naturally take up. You're completely safe to have your needs, have your desires, your wants, your opinions, your values. Right? You don't want it to be like, of course, if you're some kind of toxic narcissist, or you have some really horrible political ideology, like let's say like radical one, like Nazism or something, like I am okay to have my opinions. Like that's not what I'm talking about. It has to be mixed in with consciousness and opening up to life, surrendering to life, psychological healing, spiritual work, self-actualization, self-transcendence. All of the stuff aligns, right? There's no authenticity without raising your consciousness, raising your self-love, learning to connect with others, having a deep sense of purpose in your life and meaning in a way that connects with your own psyche and values and all that stuff. I've talked about enough in my videos. And genuinely self-actualizing and self-transcending, recognizing the true nature of being, existence, reaching your actual potential as a human being. Right? I don't want this to be too fluffy where it's like everyone just kind of has their opinions and it's all okay. But I mean, sometimes it's kind of not. Some opinions are blatantly toxic, hateful, sickening, ignorant, low consciousness, right? But really, don't be afraid to just kind of open up and start exploring life. Right? You need that openness to start investigating and testing, right? Just kind of question some of your beliefs that are keeping you stuck. Right? Just what beliefs are keeping me stuck in this pattern of inauthenticity? Right? And really just kind of start evaluating this. Not, you want to be integrated. You want it to be logical, but you want it to be emotional. You want to connect to your head and your heart and integrate your gut. You want to be grounded in life, but also have the ability to think philosophically as well, having big picture ideas that can help to guide you. Right? It's all about this sort of integration of all these sort of complex things. I'm not going to go into too much depth about that topic for another video. If you're interested in working with me one-to-one though, you can apply to do so. Link is in the pinned comment. Take it easy.